Hey, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. Good day. We are looking at X-22 report, and we know that Pelosi doesn't want the Senate to call witnesses that the Dems have not requested, whether it be Obama, Hunter, Biden, other individuals. We know that this has been a political charade from the beginning. We're reminded of this again in the X-22 report.
And I'm not talking about, there'll be no haggling with the House over Senate procedures. What he is saying is that, yes, we might call witnesses, but it might not be the witnesses the Dems want us to call, which I think.
And this is Mitch McConnell. So we'll see what happens as this all unfolds. Remember, Nancy only has a week left, and I think they're going to open the proceedings for the change of regulation, open the trial, even without the articles of impeachment. I don't think they're going to wait around much longer. I think somewhere next week after the 15th, they're going to open this up, and they're not going to let Nancy stall anymore. It's ridiculous. Remember, not only is this going to be witnesses that the Dems don't want, but this will be broadcast through mainstream media outlets, and the Dems don't want that either.
Through the Senate trial. And I think this is what they're worried about, that if they go ahead with the articles of impeachment, even if they have the Supreme Court ruling, they're afraid that it's not going to be the witnesses they want. It's going to be the witnesses that they don't want them to have on the stand. Remember, this is going to be televised to the world on all the mainstream media outlets. And if they call Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Obama, and the rest to come in and talk to Congress, remember they're under oath, and they have documentation, and they hold up, is this your signature? They're in trouble. And I believe this is what she's really worried about. And this is why they're trying to make sure that the arena is set for them. Remember, they don't want a fair trial.
Now, correct me if I'm mistaken, but I believe that this will be called in the Congress arena. Remember, the trial is set in the Senate, not in Congress. Congress has a constitutional law to mandate to do the preliminary work and send that over to the Senate, and the Senate has the final judiciary work with the Supreme Court judge over it and the two opposing opponents giving their arguments. But that will be held in the Senate, I believe, not in Congress. Let's continue here. The other quick news here is that the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has reversed a lower court decision and gave us go ahead to build one of the largest sections of the desperately needed southern border wall. $4 billion. Entire wall under construction, getting ready to start. So again, Trump wins on that. He's going to proceed with the wall. Let's go on further here. Now, he also talks about X-22 report talks about Clinton and Griswold and getting on board and this connection with Epstein. This is going to get pretty hot in some of these areas.
Subconscious. Now, this is coming out of the Sun, and this is Bill Clinton, who is with Ghislaine Maxwell on board or getting on board the Lolita Express. And there's pictures of this. And there's also pictures of Bill Clinton with who? Shantae Davies. Now, she was very young when all these pictures were taken. And she said, she is now 40, she told The Sun, it's clear that Epstein was using this private jet and his wealth to get close to rich and powerful people. They also made her wear a pilot's uniform to appear professional. And there were many other people in this article with the pictures. And what they're doing is they're slowly introducing this information. We had Ricky Gervais out there, Red.
Anyhow, we're going to go on. This is going to go and get pretty hot with Epstein and other things as this stuff is slowly leaked out. We've got to wake up this nation, people. Let's continue. Now, this next part here about voting fraud is extremely important. I thought this was a good part of this video.
This company has taken to boost election security in his testimony, including asking Congress to pass legislation requiring a paper record for every vote cast. Now, this is a good step in the right direction, but I think there needs to be more. And let's go back to post 2855. Q says, they will stop at nothing to regain power. Time to adopt voter ID law. I think what we need to have is a check to make sure the person is a citizen who is voting, and then have the vote and have a backup paper printout to match, and actually maybe even give a receipt to the person. So this way we can check all the systems. Now, I know there's many other ways to do this, but I do believe this is the beginning stages of where they're going to start pushing a voter ID. And I believe we're going to see this very soon.
We can only hope so. This will probably be worked on in the second term of presidential Trump's election, and hopefully they'll get this straightened out and get it worked through on the second term. But it's a major area that has not been legally and financially and politically adjusted like it needs to. All 50 states need to have some physical documentation besides electronic gadgetry to show proof of status as far as residency. Are they a legal resident of the United States, first and foremost? Secondly, do they have the right to vote after the proof of their legal residency? And that's a harder thing to do because they've shipped and bused people in to areas that were not eligible to vote. So the problem still remains, how do we keep people from being bussed around and voting in precincts where they have no right to? Somewhere, some way, at least in this state, do you have to have a physical record stating that you are at a residence in with the ward boundary or the election vote boundary. I don't know how you can get people to vote in an illegal way if there's not a physical record saying that they actually live in that ward or that election ballot boundary. So something's been done to bypass the physical local record of their residency in that area when they buzz people in. So that has to stop. And we have to go back to the state and the local precincts and have physical records, individuals there to show that have physical records that they're actually living in that precinct before they vote in that precinct. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Let's move on. Anyhow, this article by this David Shore here, where these Soleimani wanted these groups formed so they could shoot at Americans housed in Iraqi military bases. Pretty bad news. And the media's not bringing any of this wickedness out on this guy. So they're co-conspirators with propaganda that they instead of covering the truth, they're using propaganda.
Fighting with other countries. Nobody cared about anything back then.
This is interesting. Presidential harassment, democratic fraud by real Donald Trump. Absolutely. This article here, this section here, United States Armed Forces. The President has authorized the use of all necessary and appropriate force against nations, organizations, determined, planned, or authorized, committed either terrorist acts occurred on September 11th. Harbor such organizations in order to prevent acts international terrorism against the United States and such organizations or persons. This is after 9/11. So there is an authorization to do that. The media doesn't think so, but there is. All right, so Canada's involved in these plane being shot down, evidently, and the Uranium One deal. There's other stuff going on here we don't know, we don't understand.
Address this national crisis. Among them was a scheme developed by a small team of CIA disguised and false documentation specialists to exfiltrate the Canadian Six as they.
Now again, the CIA is involved in this somehow. You can bet, or other individuals. He's talking about past history, but also current history.
Became known from the country. Canadian Parliament agreed to grant Canadian passports to the 6 Americans. The CIA team, together with an experienced motion picture consultant, devised a cover story so exotic that it would not likely draw suspicions. The production of Hollywood movie, A Movie. Canada wants big role in Iran crash probe despite lack of diplomatic ties. Clearance pathway to complete the U1 deal. Why is the Canadian Prime Minister so important? Q.
So Q is asking, why is this so important? The Canadians were a middleman in this whole deal, and I'm sure they don't want to be shown to be involved in this situation with the Uranium One deal. We'll find out more as all this rolls out. There's so much going on and coming out. It is amazing. Back with X-22 report.
The plane was their gateway vehicle. Trump baited them. We won't telegraph our moves to the enemy. We will, however, light a fire to flush them out. Q. 12/19/2017. So we need to watch Trudeau very carefully in the coming days. Why? Because I believe they might try to cover this up. They're probably panicking right now. We should keep an eye on Canada to see how they react. And it seems like Trump and the Patriots flushed certain individuals out. Clowns, could be scientists. They got on the plane, and the deep state, they said, okay, let's see if we can start a war here. We can remove the individuals who might talk, who might get captured, and if we shoot down the plane and make it look like Trump and the Patriots did it, we can try to start some type of war. And I believe that this didn't work at all. And they're trying to make it seem like it is Trump's fault right now for causing this. This had nothing to do with Trump. Iran was firing missiles into Iraq. There was a plane taken off in Iran. Then it was shot down. What did the U.S. do? There were no missiles fired. There was nothing. I believe what they were trying to do, and they were hoping that Trump would respond and fire missiles back into Iran. And that didn't work. Now, what's very interesting, it seems that the deep state, they are now pushing the QAnon conspiracy, saying that people are now working with QAnon or being QAnoned, and they're doing crazy things. We have this Colorado mom accused of conspiring with QAnon group to kidnap her child. We have other things that have happened in the past. Jordan Sather lets us know. He says how many false flag psyops like this they've tried against Q now. Hoover Dam driver, mob boss killer, 2018 mail bomber, Seattle brother slasher, manifestos from mass shooters on 8chan. People thinking it's Q's fault don't understand how counterintelligence works. I believe what they're trying to do now is make it seem like the people who follow QAnon, they're dangerous and they do dangerous things. We have Paul Krugman out there, and he is a economist. He's a columnist for the New York Times, and he tweeted out something very bizarre. He says, well, I'm on the phone with my computer security service, and I understand it's someone compromised my IP address and is using it to download child pornography. It might be a random target, but this could be an attempt to QAnon me. It's an ugly world out there. Now, later on, he deleted this tweet. And it seems that the New York Times is now on the case. They didn't call the police for a forensic review. They didn't do anything like that. I believe what happened here is he got caught with child porn on his computer, and he's trying to say that someone else did this, and he's using QAnon to blame.
Now again, you see all this espionage, all this counter-espionage, all these lies and deceits. Did this guy really get caught with porn on his computer? And is he trying to blame QAnons, saying they did it? I don't know. But you can bet a lot of this is going to come out, and there's going to be battles over this information. Remember the earlier report that was on this video about judges getting records and subpoenaing records from Google to bring to court in different trials. So this is going to be an ongoing situation with these records. Remember, these records are there. Even though they've deleted stuff, they still have records and still have databases with these records on. You can never fully get rid of this information. Not anymore. This is interesting. He brings this up, Donald J. Trump. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. And Trump studies history and is very smart in what he does. And all this stuff is being brought out. And I believe the deep state's getting some pretty good squeeze on them right now. And we're going to find out more about this in the future. We're going to end it here. I've got to edit this so it's intelligible, and we can work on things from there. All I know is that more of this is going to come out. It's going to accelerate both in the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the news as these events come out. And people are going to have to choose which way they're going to go. And are they going to support the Republicans and Trump and the White Hats, or are they going to go with the slimy Democrats and their lies and deception? So there's a real division going on here, and it will accelerate before the November elections. I promise you, it will accelerate before that, no matter what else happens. And people will have to really decide what they're going to do. And the Trump voting campaign and the election campaign is accelerating. The funds are accelerating, and the Democrats have no real leadership as far as the election goes. And the people running against Trump, they're going to lose so bad and get their butts kicked so bad, it is going to be pathetic. Again, this is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day.